Driving an automatic car feels easy, but that doesn't mean you can ignore the finer details. Many drivers unknowingly make mistakes that can shorten their car's lifespan, lower fuel efficiency, and even create dangerous situations. Let's explore what to avoid and why these mistakes could cost you big time. Number 8. Never shift from drive to reverse while moving. Imagine you're cruising down your neighborhood street and you suddenly decide you've gone too far. Instead of stopping, you think, why not just shift from D to R to back up? Big mistake. When you're driving an automatic car, the transmission is designed to handle shifts smoothly, but only under the right conditions. Shifting from drive to reverse while the car is still moving can cause major problems. Why? Because your car's transmission system isn't built to handle such sudden directional changes. The gears and clutches inside the transmission need time to disengage and re-engage properly. When you throw it into reverse on the go, you're forcing those components to work against the car's momentum. In fact, you risk damaging the transmission's delicate internal components, which could lead to costly repairs. We're talking thousands of dollars. And it's not just the transmission that's at stake. The drivetrain, which transfers power from the engine to the wheels, can also be affected. Another thing to consider is the safety aspect. Imagine being on the road and accidentally shifting into reverse. Even a brief jolt can unsettle the car, leaving you momentarily out of control, especially if you're traveling at higher speeds. That kind of instability is dangerous, not just for you, but for other drivers around you. So, what's the right way to shift into reverse? Always come to a complete stop before making the switch. Give your car a second to settle before engaging the new gear. Think of it as letting the car catch its breath. But can you shift from drive to neutral while moving? Yes, you can shift to neutral while moving, but only if absolutely necessary, like during a slow coast to a stop if your brakes fail. However, you should never do this routinely, as it can still harm your transmission over time. Number 7. Don't rest your foot on the brake pedal. Have you ever caught yourself lightly resting your foot on the brake pedal while driving? It might seem harmless, but have you considered how this seemingly small habit could impact your car in the long run? When you rest your foot on the brake pedal, even if it's just lightly, you're unintentionally engaging the brakes. This is often referred to as riding the brakes, and it may not feel significant, but it causes constant friction between the brake pads and the rotors. Over time, this friction leads to premature wear and tear on your brake components. Your brake pads, designed to endure friction during active braking, will tear down faster than they should, which means more frequent and costly replacements. Over time, this could also lead to overheating, glazing, or even warping of the brake system, which reduces its overall efficiency. And there's more. This habit can also affect your fuel efficiency. Wonder how? When the brakes are slightly engaged, your car has to work harder to maintain its speed, using more fuel in the process. It's a lose-lose situation, worn out brakes and a heavier fuel bill. But perhaps the biggest concern is safety. Riding the brakes can confuse drivers behind you, especially at higher speeds. That faint brake light glow can signal that you're slowing down even if you're not. It's an unnecessary risk that could cause accidents in situations where drivers misjudge your intentions. The fix is simple. Train yourself to keep your foot on the floorboard when you're not actively braking. Being mindful of your driving posture can go a long way in preserving your car's health and improving your safety on the road. Number 6. Avoid using the wrong gear for the terrain. Ever wondered if your car's gear selection could change depending on the terrain you're driving on? What could go wrong if you rely solely on automatic mode and ignore what the terrain demands? The answer might surprise you. It's not just about performance, but also about the long-term health of your car. Modern automatic cars are designed to shift gears seamlessly, but that doesn't mean you can always let the car handle everything. Using the wrong gear for specific terrains like steep hills or slippery roads can strain your transmission and reduce overall driving efficiency. For example, driving downhill in drive without shifting to a lower gear can put immense pressure on your brakes. They'll overheat quickly because you're forcing them to do all the work of slowing the car instead of allowing engine braking to assist. If you use the wrong gear on hilly terrain, you're not just risking wear and tear on your brakes and transmission, you're also compromising safety. Imagine trying to stop a heavy vehicle on a steep slope with overheating brakes. Things can go south quickly. Similarly, tackling an incline in the wrong gear can lead to sluggish acceleration or even stalling, especially in older or underpowered vehicles. It's also worth noting that incorrect gear use impacts fuel economy. On flat terrain, sticking to drive mode is ideal, but on challenging roads, relying solely on automatic gear changes can make your car work harder than it should, leading to unnecessary fuel consumption. So, what's the solution? Pay attention to your car's manual mode or terrain-specific driving options, like L for low gear, or hill descent control if your car has it. Adjusting your gear to match the terrain not only prolongs the life of your vehicle, but also ensures smoother, safer rides. Before moving on to the next point, here's a surprising insight. Did you know in the initial days, automatic transmissions were often marketed specifically to women, highlighting their ease and convenience? This reflected the societal views of the time, but modern marketing strategies have shifted significantly. Now, speaking of driving habits, here's something you might not have considered. Number 5. Never drive with 2 feet. Ever wondered if using both feet to drive an automatic car could give you better control or make your driving smoother? While it might seem like a good idea to use one foot for the accelerator and the other for the brake, this habit can actually cause some serious problems for both you and your car. In an automatic car, driving with 2 feet creates unnecessary complications. The design assumes you'll use your right foot for both the accelerator and brake pedals, ensuring a seamless transition between the two. When you use both feet, however, you're increasing the likelihood of accidentally pressing both pedals at the same time. This can cause brake and accelerator overlap, which confuses the car's systems and could even result in damage to the transmission. Even more concerning is that two-footed driving can cause unintentional braking while accelerating. This is especially risky in emergencies when every millisecond counts. Imagine needing to slam the brakes but instead pressing both pedals. The car might take longer to stop, or worse, lurch forward when you least expect it. Additionally, the habit can trick your car's systems. Modern cars rely on sensors to monitor braking and acceleration. Pressing both pedals simultaneously can trigger errors or reduce the efficiency of safety features like anti-lock braking systems, ABS, or traction control. The solution? Stick to one foot. Using your right foot for both the accelerator and the brake ensures better coordination, reduces the chance of accidental overlap, and helps you maintain full control of the vehicle. It also prolongs the life of your car's braking and transmission systems, saving you money in the long run. Number 4. Never put your car in park before stopping completely. In a rush and shifted your car into park before coming to a complete stop? It might seem like a harmless shortcut, but do you know what's actually happening inside your car when you do that? Let's find out. When you shift into park, your car's transmission engages a component called the parking pawl, a small metal pin that locks the gears in place to prevent your car from rolling. However, if your car is still moving even slightly, that pawl has to absorb the force of the moving vehicle. Over time, this can cause the pawl to wear out, bend, or even snap. And when the parking mechanism fails, your car could roll unexpectedly, leading to accidents or damage. This habit is particularly dangerous if you drive on inclines or park on hills. If the parking pawl fails, there's nothing stopping your car from rolling away. Additionally, the sudden jolt of forcing the gears to lock can accelerate wear and tear on other components of the transmission, affecting your car's overall performance. The right approach is simple. Always come to a complete stop before shifting into park. Use your brake pedal to bring the car to a standstill, and if you're on an incline, engage the parking brake before shifting to park. This ensures that the parking brake bears the weight of the car rather than the transmission components. A little patience at the stop can save you a lot of trouble down the road. Number 3. Starting in the wrong gear. Ever started driving in the wrong gear and brushed it off as no big deal? After all, the car still moves, right? But do you know what's actually happening to your car when this happens? Well, starting in the wrong gear, like trying to move forward in reverse or staying in neutral when you should be in drive, puts unnecessary strain on your car's transmission. Automatic transmissions are designed to smoothly transition between gears to match the car's movement and engine load. Starting in the wrong gear disrupts this balance, forcing the transmission to work harder than it should, and over time this can lead to wear and tear on its internal components. Another common scenario is trying to move the car in neutral by revving the engine. While this might seem harmless, it's incredibly inefficient and could overheat the transmission fluid. Automatic transmissions rely on proper lubrication to function, and overheating the fluid compromises its ability to protect the system, leading to long-term damage. But avoiding this mistake is easy. Always double-check your gear before starting to drive, and make sure the shifter is firmly in the correct position, whether that's D for drive, R for reverse, or P for park. And if your car has a manual override for gears, like paddle shifters or a manual mode, make sure you're not stuck in the wrong gear setting before hitting the gas. Number 2. Never use the neutral gear to coast downhill. Tempted to shift into neutral while driving downhill, thinking it'll save fuel or make the ride smoother? It might seem like a clever hack, but have you considered what actually happens to your car when you do this? Coasting downhill in neutral disables the engine's connection to the wheels. This means your car is essentially free-rolling, and while that might sound harmless, it actually removes crucial control. Modern automatic transmissions are designed to work in harmony with the engine, providing braking assistance and maintaining stability. When you shift to neutral, you eliminate this support, leaving your car more vulnerable to losing traction or gaining uncontrollable speed. Do you ever find yourself questioning whether coasting in neutral actually saves fuel? Well, it doesn't save fuel in modern cars. Most vehicles today are equipped with fuel injection systems that automatically minimize fuel consumption when you're coasting downhill in gear. In fact, staying in gear is often more efficient, as the system adjusts to the car's speed and reduces fuel flow accordingly. Shifting into neutral can disrupt this process and might even make your engine work harder when you eventually shift back into gear. Aside from fuel concerns, coasting in neutral also compromises your safety. With no engine braking, your car relies entirely on the brake system to control speed, which can cause excessive wear and overheating. This is particularly risky on long or steep descents, where your brakes might fail if they're overworked. Worse still, shifting back into gear at high speeds can damage your transmission. The sudden engagement of the gears creates a jarring effect that stresses internal components, potentially leading to long-term issues like gear slippage or a complete transmission failure. The solution? Always leave your car in gear while driving downhill. Let the engine and transmission work together to manage your speed, and use your brakes sparingly to avoid overheating them. If your car has hill descent control, take advantage of it. It's designed for exactly this purpose. So, while coasting in neutral might feel like an easy shortcut, it's a risky move that compromises control, safety, and even efficiency. Keep your car in gear, stay in control, and trust the system built to keep you safe on those downhill stretches. Number 1. Don't confuse manual mode for manual driving. The manual mode in your automatic car might seem like a great way to enjoy the control of a manual transmission, but does it really offer the same experience? Well, it's important to understand the difference between manual mode and true manual driving. Confusing the two could result in mistakes that place unnecessary stress on your vehicle. Manual mode in an automatic car is designed to give you some level of control over gear selection, but it's not the same as driving a car with a traditional manual transmission. In manual mode, the car still relies on its automatic transmission to perform the shifting. You're just telling it when to shift rather than letting it decide. However, the car doesn't offer full control over the clutch or the precise coordination needed in a true manual vehicle. While manual mode allows you to shift gears up and down, your automatic transmission still handles many of the functions that a manual driver would typically manage, such as clutch control. In manual mode, if you shift too early or too late, the car will adjust to prevent stalling or damage. Whereas in a traditional manual car, this would result in stalling or jerky driving. One key mistake people make is assuming they need to rev the engine in manual mode, like they would in a real manual car. In reality, over-revving in manual mode can cause unnecessary strain on the engine and transmission, possibly even damaging them over time. The system in an automatic is designed to avoid these situations. But if you're not mindful of how and when you shift, you could end up pushing your car beyond its limits. Another thing to note is that manual mode doesn't necessarily mean you should use it all the time. It's there for specific driving situations, like when you need more control on hilly terrain, or when you're accelerating quickly and want to keep the engine in a specific power range. Using it in stop-and-go traffic or for everyday driving could unnecessarily wear out your transmission. So, while manual mode gives you a taste of manual driving, it's important to remember it's not a substitute. Use it wisely, and don't expect the same level of control as you would with a manual transmission. And that wraps up our list of the things you should never do in an automatic car. Avoiding these mistakes will not only keep your car running smoothly, but also help you save time and money on costly repairs. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks. Safe driving, and we'll see you in the next video.